in March. And now President Biden has said that some Republicans are threatening Social Security's future, a claim that Republicans have denied, though. The argument ignored key facts about Social Security. This includes that the Social Security trust funds can be depleted as early as 2032, unless Congress acts to prevent that. And without action, starting in 2035, Social Security beneficiaries will get smaller monthly checks, about a 23% cut from what they receive now. And almost 67 million Americans will receive a Social Security payment, totaling $1 trillion. Many older Americans rely on the benefits to pay their basic living expenses. People can start receiving Social Security retirement benefits at age 62, but the full retirements kick in when they turn 67. And Social Security is funded through the payroll tax, and that revenue is put into a trust fund to pay for current beneficiaries. The program, which was started in 1935 by FDR, has become increasingly unaffordable, as life expectancy and the number of eligible recipients has risen, and the number of workers who pay into the program has declined. But a 2022 Social Security's report said that the trust fund used to pay retirees will be depleted in 2034. And the Congressional Budget Office director has told reporters that the depletion would come even earlier, in 2032. So this report is not an outlier. Since 2012, the Social Security's Program Trustees Board has projected that the fund will be depleted in 2022 and 2035. The main ways to cut Social Security's solvent are by increasing revenue or decreasing benefits. Now they're getting ready to pass it, and the lawmakers in the House are ready to move to vote on a stopgap spending bill and to prevent a government shutdown. But states have been actually talking about tax cutting sprees, and now a proposed Pennsylvania tax break could result in big tax cuts. If the tax breaks happen, this will not be good. It's fueled by surging revenues. States have been slashing taxes for individuals and businesses for the past 3 years. But tax cuts are expected to come to an end in some states in the fiscal year. Some 25 states have cut individual income tax rates since 2021. And the lawmakers in many states have been approving tax cuts aiming to help residents financially. New property and rent relief rebate checks are going to be sent out, and these payments are worth billions of dollars and will equal hundreds of dollars for many people. It's fueled by surging revenue. States have been slashing tax for individuals and businesses for the past 3 years. But tax cuts are expected to come to an end in some states in the fiscal year. Some 25 states have cut individual income tax rates since 2021. It includes 22 states that reduced their top marginal rates. In 2023 alone, at least 8 states approved rate reductions. And Arkansas is trimming its top individual income tax rate to 4.7% after reducing it from 5.5%. Aside from individual income tax cuts, states have proposed rebate checks for their residents. Last year, 17 states issued inflation relief payments as well. And now, if you're a Massachusetts resident, income tax refunds were available to you if you paid personal income taxes and filed your return by October 17. If you file your state return by October 17, you should be able to get your stimulus check back. Nearly $100 million in rebates will be sent out to residents across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Starting today, over 4 million older homeowners, renters, and people with disabilities will be issued rebates on rent and property taxes paid in 2022. According to a release, the rebates will be allocated to eligible Pennsylvanians who submitted. While not all will receive $1,800, the median payment was around $1,500 as well. Those born between the 1st and 11th receive payments on the second Wednesday of the month, so the next deposit date is on October 11th. But lawmakers in the Republican Study Committee have proposed to increase the age for full retirement benefits from 67 to 69 over an 8-year period, more specifically the age at which retirees can actually get their money. Under the current law, these early retirees only receive about 70% of their full benefit, and under the bill, they will receive 61% of their full benefit, a reduction of approximately 13%. The harm from increasing the retirement age would fall disproportionately on low and middle, as they rely most heavily on Social Security. And according to Yahoo News, 2 senior officials have said the U.S. Federal Reserve should proceed carefully when deciding whether or not to hike the interest rates to bring down inflation. The Fed has already hiked its key lending rate 11 times in 18 months, bringing inflation down sharply. It is trying to achieve a so-called soft landing in which it tackles stubborn inflation without tanking the U.S. economy. Although inflation remains stuck above 2%, the labor market has so far remained historically strong, and economic growth appears resilient, raising the chances of a soft landing. Even the chair said that the Fed's rate-setting committee is in a position to proceed carefully in assessing the extent of an additional policy firming that may be necessary. And even the Dallas president, the Fed president, said that we should carefully evaluate economic and financial developments when deciding if to back up another hike. The comments from two members of the rate-setting Open Market Committee said that Jerome Powell has urged them to follow a data-dependent path on interest rates. So, the two policymakers highlighted the recent increase in yields, which Jefferson said may reflect investors' assessment that the underlying momentum is stronger than before. As a result, they say a restrictive stance on monetary policy may be needed for longer than expected to calm down inflation.
To double production capacity just to avoid further reductions in the fleet. Our allies' significant investments in shipbuilding are welcome steps that will improve our mutual security. But if the United States doesn't increase our own shipbuilding capacity and production rate, we'll both fall behind as China erodes our key advantage.
Even for expensive cancer drugs that could cost $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 a year, max, cumulative, $2,000. The law already requiring that drug companies that raise prices faster than inflation have to pay the difference to the government between per month. This is, it's never happened before. And look, history's been made here, but it comes alongside the largest drop in unemployment rate in a single year on record.
The Senate in history of the United States has been amazingly and extraordinarily productive. 20 months into the Democratic majority, I just want to take a moment to highlight the many, many accomplishments we have secured in this chamber under Democratic leadership. It's the most in recent memory. The American Rescue Plan, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Gun Safety Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, an omnibus package, and many other bills in between. Senate Democrats have worked hard every step of the way to improve the lives of American people, to help those in the middle class stay there, to help those struggling to get into the middle class a little easier to get there. And we will continue to do our work for the American people this week by passing a CR to keep the government open.
Benefits have lost around 40% of their buying power. One of the biggest proposals in the works is an increase in benefits for people who are ages 80 and older. Not only will this help older adults maintain buying power, but it will also provide a boost for retirees who are running low on savings. And while nothing is set in stone, this plan does propose increasing benefits by around 5%. And it's one of Washington's most divisive proposals, as only 53% of Americans, 53% of Republicans are in favor of voting for it. So if the Republicans decide to block this stimulus check, that means we won't be getting any stimulus payment if President Biden can't get this past the Republicans. But hopefully everybody he can, because President Biden can definitely send out stimulus checks if he's done it before. Now, the nearly 1.9 million borrowers who paid off their loans during the pause and those who refinanced their student loans during the pause into private loans do not qualify for the automatic stimulus check. Yes,